Hey there, I'm Ranger Dan, and today I'm excited to chat with you about one of our more misunderstood neighbors, coyotes. Now, I know some of you may not be thrilled with the idea of coyotes hanging around your neighborhood. Maybe they make you a little uneasy, or you just prefer they stay in the wilderness. But here's the thing, coyotes have been sharing our spaces for thousands of years, and they actually play a key role in keeping our ecosystems balanced. Plus, they're a lot like us, believe it or not. So today, we're going to take a look at how their behavior changes through the seasons. And along the way, I hope you'll come to see them in a new light. Let's start with winter. During this time, coyotes, like all of us, are trying to stay warm and find food. They grow thick, fluffy winter coats and become really good scavengers. Winter is tough for them because food is harder to find. But coyotes are smart. They'll hunt small animals like rabbits or scavenge for whatever they can find, even leftovers in trash bins, though we try to discourage that. They've been known to use storm drains, underpasses, and even crawl spaces under sheds to shield themselves from the elements. Pretty resourceful, huh? Wintertime is also when unattached coyotes are looking for mates, and when mated coyotes enjoy more quality time with each other, since their prior year's litter is usually out of the house by then. It's like their version of date night season. By February, the female and the mated pair will be pregnant. However, the bond created during cuffing season lasts well beyond February. Coyotes are the only mammal that have been confirmed through genetic analysis of their offspring to be truly monogamous, and they've been observed to mate for life, only taking a new mate after their prior mate dies. When spring rolls around, things really start to pick up for coyotes. In April or May, they welcome new pups, sometimes as many as 6 to 11 in one litter. Since their pups are born blind, they're completely dependent on their parents at the start of their life. Sound familiar? It's a lot of work raising a family. So if you spot a coyote in the spring, they're likely out hunting to bring food back to their growing brood. Coyote parents become very protective during this time, which is why you might see them acting a bit more territorial if you're near their den. But they're just being good parents, like any of us would be if we had a bunch of toddlers running around. Like any parent, they're focused on keeping their family fed and safe. This protective behavior is natural, and as long as you give them space, they'll go back to minding their own business. Want to help them out? During spring, it's a good idea to stay on marked trails and keep your pets leashed, especially near green spaces. That way, coyote parents can feel safe, and so can we. Coyotes won't typically go after pets unless they feel desperate or threatened. In summer, those pups are growing fast, and you might start seeing coyotes more often around dusk or dawn. Like us, they prefer the cooler parts of the day when it's not so hot. This is the season of exploration. This is when young coyotes learn critical survival skills from their parents, like how to hunt, where to find water, and, very importantly, how to avoid humans. Towards the end of summer, coyote pups are older and start to venture out on their own. This is when the young coyotes are teenagers, getting ready to leave home and start their own lives. You might spot coyotes wandering through neighborhoods a bit more, as the young ones test their independence. They're not trying to cause any trouble, they're just learning. They're exploring new areas and figuring out how to fend for themselves. It's a lot like human teens, sometimes a little awkward and unsure, but just trying to make their way in the world. Coyotes love green spaces like parks and golf courses, so you may see them hanging out in those spaces. Here's another fun fact. A single coyote can catch and eat hundreds of rodents in a year, acting as a natural pest control service. Not a bad neighbor to have when you think about it. Finally, let's talk about fall. As the leaves change color, so do the priorities of coyotes. This is the time of year when they're stocking up, hunting more frequently to fatten up before the cold sets in. You might see them a bit more often during this time because they're being extra resourceful. And if you hear them yipping in the fall, don't worry. It's not a gang of coyotes planning a takeover. Fall is when young coyotes are striking out on their own, leaving their parents' territory and exploring the world in search of their own territory and mate. They're just chatting amongst themselves. In fact, those sounds are a good reminder that they're social, family-oriented animals. Kind of like us, right? Now I understand if seeing a coyote near your home makes you a little nervous. But here's the good news. Coyotes are usually not a threat to people. Attacks on people are extremely rare. Much rarer than dog bites. In fact, you're more likely to get injured in your own kitchen than by a coyote. Coyotes have been living alongside us for a long time, and they're really not so different from us. They're raising families, protecting their young, and finding food to survive. By understanding their seasonal behaviors and taking a few precautions, we can coexist with these amazing animals, and even appreciate the important role they play in our urban ecosystem. Most of the time, if we give them space, they'll return the favor. That said, there are things we can do to help them maintain that healthy distance. Don't give them easy access to food or water. Coyotes are opportunistic eaters. Pick up fruit on the ground, secure trash, compost, and gardens, and don't feed pets outside. By removing easy access to food and water sources, we can remind them that our backyards aren't restaurants. Keep your pets, especially small dogs and cats, indoors or closely supervised outdoors and always on a leash. They're naturally shy and prefer to avoid us whenever possible. If you do see one getting a little too close or acting bold, you can haze them. That just means making yourself big, waving your arms, and making noise. This reminds coyotes to keep their distance. They're naturally avoidant of humans, and we want them to keep this natural wariness towards people. So the next time you see a coyote wandering through your neighborhood, give it a big wave and loud greeting. And remember, it's just out there doing its job, keeping the ecosystem in balance. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, nature isn't something out there. It's right here in our neighborhoods. Let's keep our city wild, safe, and balanced for all of us.